So let's now open the debate. So if anyone it's invited to ask any questions, to make any comments, feel free. You can use any kind of language. So don't worry about if you make mistakes with English. My English is horrible. I don't know how many mistakes I can make in 1 minute.
No, it's good. Now that we have the Americans here, I mean, there's certain questions I want to know.
Okay.
First of all, we know that we have different ideas of privacy. But what I want to know, and I'd like you to be as frank as possible on this, is whether the Americans really care about our level, our concept of privacy. And secondly, is the Privacy Shield, from what you've heard of it now, really going to address some of the concerns we have?
So it's going to be my favorite answer, which is it depends. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I think the fundamental approach remains different. I think as long as Americans do not view the right to privacy as a fundamental right, the two sides will never totally align. Do I think that we are more sensitive to it? Absolutely, and I think the technology that has brought that home to lots of people who've never considered it before is the Internet of Things. How much information is out there about things that we don't want shared? I think that's to me that's the way that it will get the attention of the largest number of people. I think the data breaches at places like Anthem Health and Target are a huge wake-up call that these large companies that are spending top dollar on data security aren't being effective. So how effective are we? A year ago, I heard the chairman of the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, and she was talking about a mattress that is now available in nursing homes that has 37 different sensors in it that transmit information. Now, I suppose if I was a nursing home supervisor, this information might be useful for my limited purposes. But would I want that information, and not that anyone would necessarily want it, but would I want that information to be public if it was about my mother or my father? I don't think I would. So that got my attention. And the second thing she said, which really got my attention, was if Anthem and Target and the federal government are being hacked, when was the last time we changed our devices at home? And if Target and Anthem are being hacked with super sophisticated stuff, and we have modems and routers that are 5 to 10 years old that haven't had a software upgrade in a couple of years, how secure is the information that's sitting on not only on my workspace at home, but in the small business around the corner, or at my doctor's office, or even at my hospital? That got my attention, and my response to it was, my regular physician asked me to sign up and join the portal that it offers in case they needed to send me a prescription right away. And I said no. There's a tagline for a company that actually I saw at Mobile World Congress on Monday that said if it's not, you can't see what's not out there. And it's made me think twice about what information I'll share. So it's not really a direct answer to your question, but I think as long as the perspectives are so different, it's going to take quite a while, for, if ever, that the U.S. and the EU perspectives will be the same.
It would be good to hear a little bit from Rick about this, given your background.
Well, certainly the ladies on either side are much more attuned to the policy and the political aspects of this. In the technical version and technical world, again, it's a question of learning enough about a client's business, learning enough about their business model, where they do business, how they do business, in order to architect a solution that if it can't meet all these requirements that are, excuse me, ladies, but sometimes a moving target, really, that you can architect a solution that best stores the data where it needs to be stored, encrypt the data, or encourage the client to encrypt the data before it goes to the cloud, not just depend on the cloud service provider. Again, I've spent many years in the military as in the cryptographic field. We never sent anything, even unclassified messages from a communications center that weren't encrypted. So again, it's incumbent upon the users themselves to understand that, just like Martha said, if it's not out there, you can't see it. Well, if you have to communicate, it's going to be out there. So it's incumbent upon the users to acknowledge that and acknowledge the sensitivity. And some enterprise users will acknowledge that and go to the extra step of employing those encryption methods to protect that. Some do, some don't.
I want to encourage to the attendants to ask some questions. Please, we have. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Please stand up and introduce yourself.
My name is Joan Bacarisas. I come from Barcelona. I'm an industrial engineer and IT consultant. I worked for 3 years for the public notaries in Spain on projects on digital signature. And I know that the integrity, identity, and privacy of data may be kept with real warranty in the use of the protocol X509, which was in the United States, which the system was recognized in the US and all over the world. Even the banks had their own security protocol, the SET protocol, which was called Secure Electronic Transactions. Most of Spanish banks in Spain had already a system, an informatic system to use this technology, but they refused to use it because they thought it was too complicated for the citizens to use it, and they may lose their quote of in marketing in users and citizens, and so banking was competing between them. The digital signature, is it being used online in the United States? For the administration or for some other users? In Spain, it is. For Hacienda, for instance, or to communicate with the ID card we have, each one, there is a chip in which we can have our own digital signature system.
Yeah, digital signatures are used in quite a few enterprises. Again, it depends on the strength of the infrastructure to support that. Encryption systems, again, which is what I spent many years doing, are evaluated by the algorithms, the keys that they're used to generate the encryption, 128-bit, 256-bit, 1024-bit. The more expansive that security system comes, the more limits it places on the users, the more difficult it is for the users. And again, it's a balance of what that user's tolerance is for his own security systems. Again, some clients will choose to secure very, very tightly. Others, not so much. But the short answer to your system is yes. The strength still depends on individual enterprise systems and enterprise infrastructures on how well they want to secure that system.
So yesterday, some of us received an email from a colleague in California who, and I didn't have a chance to tell you this yesterday, Sony Pictures has just announced that its chairman is going to return to using his fax machine. I'm an attorney. Every once in a while, I get a fax document. I have a fax machine. I use it. As George said earlier, The cloud or any technology is a good answer for most things, but not for all things. And fax continues to have its purpose because, in fact, it's less easy, even though it's a simpler technology, it's less likely that someone will hijack a fax or care to spend the effort to do that than to hijack a series of credit card numbers.
Again, it's really a mathematical exercise. In the early 70s, late 60s, cryptographic systems were very good, very strong. But if you had a computer capable of generating enough alternatives, enough algorithm alternatives per second, you could break that key, within 24-hour periods. Today, those computer systems exist that would do that. The 1960s, 70s era systems, aren't in use today anymore because of that, and they keep advancing. 20 years ago, 2048-bit key was considered NSA quality. I have been retired for many years. I do not know what they use today, if anybody's listening. But they continue to advance. Even in the short time that I was doing that, it advanced tenfold in just those years.
I see the...
Everybody, my name is Juan Manuel. Thanks for all these nice presentations. I'm a telecom engineer, and maybe I have to apologize in advance for raising this question in the frame of this World Mobile Congress, but I have to admit I'm a little bit of a cloud skeptical, okay? And I really don't know if I'm going against everything with this statement, but the first time I heard about the cloud, it sounded to me like bubble. And bubble is not really a nice word and scenario to think about when you talk about businesses, for instance, okay? After listening to you today, I have to admit that my skepticism is still even higher. And I really don't know if I'm going against everything in terms of common sense about technological evolution, or if all these problems that you were sharing with us today are really preventing people and companies from moving massively towards clouds. If I could choose, I would like to have my own data and my company's data in my own server down there. I don't think Google or Facebook could take my cloud to put their data. I don't know why I should take their cloud to put my data.
Okay, I am the moderator, but I also have my own thoughts and my own opinion. Yes, of course, cloud is dangerous, but be careful, because nothing is perfect, and to have the data inside also have significant risk. Okay, let me tell you an example. Do you know one guy? We have seen there the photo of the picture of Mr. Snowden. But do you remember a guy named Falciani or something like this, and a famous list? Falciani was an employer of a bank, and he take the information from the bank, from the servers from the bank. He was inside the organization, and then he disclosed the information. So the risks are not only in the cloud, about the confidentiality, about the integrity of your data. You also have the risk inside. And to be honest, in my opinion, perhaps it's more dangerous sometimes when the traitor is inside than when it's outside.
The human link is always the weakest. And to address your concern, I don't want to give the impression, I don't think any of us want to give the impression that using the cloud is not something you should consider. It's just another media. It's been around for 50 years. It's evolved and become much more pervasive now. But it's always been there. It has a place. It's a very good tool, but use it wisely. Understand the parameters that you have to address, and it's just another transmission media, that can be used effectively. But just understand what it can do for you and what it can do to you. Okay.
George.
And remember that when we say cloud, it's a cloud. So we have to find what is behind this name. Not all the vendors, what they call cloud, is the same thing. So you have to choose between different clouds. And it is always the cloud over the Mediterranean Sea is much better.
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Ramberg. I'm from Norway. I'm working in a startup. I'm an independent consultant that I'm assisting this company with IT solutions. We are a cloud-based services. And one thing is that we offer a cloud services, and we have our servers in Norway. And we, for many reasons, why we have it in the States, and we can have this. First of all, the cloud service. What is cloud? Cloud really is your data or some of your data in somebody else's computer. Exactly. It's nothing more than that. Cloud is a very pretty word for it, but all in all, it's your data somewhere else. And the question is, do you have control of it? Do they have control of it? And this is where the trust and everything goes into it. There was a talk about prices. The prices have to go down. Well, depending on here, the fact of services. What is cloud? It is services that you have products or services that you can expand. You can do a lot of things that you maybe can't develop in-house, and you take it outside. And you, for instance, the company that I'm working for, it's called Induct Software. And we have idea management, innovation management solution. So we capture, they can have challenges, ideas, and proposals, and all this is working within this system, and we can organize this, and they can manage, the company can come manage this. Of course, ideas and intelligent property is, of course, very important in this case, where companies do not want to share their ideas, but they are trusting in our solution to keep all this information. And we have all levels of encryptions, etc. And Patricia, your statement on how Europe right now is going to handle the that we have to expose or to control, and to have the statement on where we are storing there is no safe haven, and Norway is no exception. So I'm going to look more into this, how this company is handling this part. The question is, it's partly that, like a country like Norway, how is that affected according to Europe or the EU, because they're not really a member. And I wanted to state about the fact that cloud is just your data elsewhere.
Let's make another question, and the final question. Dave?
Okay, thanks, Agustin. My name's Dave Mailer. I'm an independent telecoms consultant operating in the UK. We've spoken a lot about cloud and the concerns with putting data in the cloud this evening. And I accept and I agree with all of those reservations. However, one question I'd like to float out there is, in all those breaches, you put a very interesting slide up, Patricia, showing the data breaches and the size of those breaches. Is there any data that shows whether those breaches were based on data that was held in the cloud or was held in customers' own data centers? And irrespective of whether it was in the cloud, was the breach down to mistakes on behalf of the provider or the customer?
On that particular slide, I don't think that the breaches were breaches which were in the cloud. Really, that slide was there to demonstrate that breaches happen. It's possible in the cloud. It says it's possible in other systems. No, it was just to show that breaches happen.
Dave, wait the microphone, please.
Yeah, I appreciate that entirely. I just wondered whether anybody in the room knows whether any such data exists, whether any analysis has been done on data breaches as to whether the cloud or on-premise is actually more guilty.
That's a great question.
I'm not aware of any surveys in particular in cloud, no.
It's a great question. I'm not sure any of us have the answer.
In my opinion, we are in a transaction, okay? We need to learn. We are all learning about how to manage the IT revolution and the digitalization. So, and we have two options. Go ahead and try to solve the problems. And they are knocking or they are when appears a problem, we can try to solve. The other option is do nothing. And in my opinion, do nothing, it's never the best option. We need to think about to do nothing, okay? But we need to analyze the advantages of disadvantage of the different scenarios that we have. We have been talking here about risk. Perhaps we talk only about risk sometimes, but we also need to think about the advantages. And it depends of which is your business, which is the size of your company, which is your country. For example, in my opinion, small companies in Africa, for example, they can get the advantages from a lot of applications, not only for business, and also from learning, health, if they can have access to the network. So there are a lot of advantages on cloud applications. All it depends. And what is clear is when you make a decision, you must make. Here in Spain, we talk about take a decision. And it's not the same to take a decision than to make a decision. So I think we must make decisions. We must analyze the problems, but we must act. Because if you don't act, you are dead. That's my opinion. So I would like to close this session only saying one word. Okay, it's thank you. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, George. Thank you, Marta. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for sharing with us your expertise and your knowledge. Thank you, Foment del Treball. Thank you, President Pedro Linares, Director Salvador Ramon, and all the staff of telecos.com. Thank you to our sponsors, Cisco. Thank you, Fran. Please stand up. Frank Blackmore, Manager of the Consultants Liaison Program of Cisco. Thank you for your continued support and help. Thank you, Ismael. Please, Ismael, stand up. And your team of Athinsol for recording and broadcasting in live this event using your innovative IP video solutions. I also want to say thank you to our email team. Okay. And then, unfortunately, as citizen of Barcelona, I also must say sorry for the inconvenience to the transport strike. We have not been in this occasion the host that we must be when we receive visitors like you. But as George always said, let's see the positive aspect. And the positive aspect is that today in this event, we have been feeling the power of cooperation, the power of communications, the power of sharing ideas and understand from different points of view what is going on. The lessons we have been learning today are allowing us to better understand technology and reality. All together, coming from very far away locations, we are today building a better world. Tomorrow, when we wake up, we must remember that we can choose between be a builder or be a destroyer or a toxic person and only see the negative aspects of the reality. I think we are facing amazing opportunities. Well, with the strike, I really have some names of toxic or impossible people in my mind, but I will prefer not to mention them. Okay? So, like President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, this is one of my preferred sentences. We choose go to the moon, not because it is easy, because it is hard. Today we have choose all together to build a better world, facing the big challenges we have, using the right technology tool we have available in order to create prosperity and overcome poverty. Let's celebrate with a cup of cava. You are all invited now. Our willing to improve our world and our society with global collaboration. Yes, we want to do. I prefer yes, we want to than yes, we can. Thank you for joining us today. Be in touch with you.
Congratulations.